Can Keyron Crawford be an asset to the Raiders, or will he be a liability? We're going to answer that question in this video. All right, so we're just going to get straight to it, man. In this play, you can see they're pretty much showing cover zero, right? All out blitz with man coverage on the back end. You got 7 guys on the line of scrimmage. 3 of those guys end up dropping back into coverage. That leaves Keyron Crawford one-on-one with the offensive tackle. That's on the bottom of the screen, as you can see. Keyron Crawford attacks the outside, right? I like the way that Keyron Crawford uses his hands, just overall, right? He has some good pass rushing moves, but on this specific play, you can see he pretty much attacks the chest of the offensive tackle. That gets the offensive tackle to react, which Crawford then counters with the swipe. He attacks the elbow. Now, on this specific play, he does come away with the sack. He does make the play, right? Now, he has good hand usage. On this play, I would rather him just show his hand just to get the offensive tackle to react and then swipe. He actually gets into the chest and then swipes, which causes the offensive tackle to get his hand on him, right? You can see him stall out a little bit at the top of the pocket, but he does end up getting off, right? You don't want to get too tangled up, especially when you got 32.5-inch arms. It's not bad. It's not super bad. I believe Max Crosby has 32.5-inch arms, but you can get tangled up very easily, right? But good hand usage, good effort, comes away with the play. Now on this specific play, I'm gonna give him a mark towards asset, right? I do believe his hand usage is an asset to the Raiders. It's not a liability, right? And you'll see it throughout the video. All right, so this next play, we got Crawford on the top of the screen. As you can see, he's pretty much lined up as a traditional outside linebacker. Now, as you can see on this play, he tries to fake to the inside and then attacks the outside, but swipes at the offensive tackle's arms, right, or hands. Now, this doesn't work. He ends up stalling out at the top of the pocket, but he's able to readjust and work his way back under and come away with the play. Now, I wanted to show this play for a reason, right? This is one of the issues that he's going to have a lot, right, with his arm length and just the way that he either rushes the passer or defends the run, right? You know, the arm length is showing up. It showed up other reps too, even at the Senior Bowl, right? So obviously on this specific rep, due to his arm length, I'm going to say that is a liability. There's multiple plays that I can show where arm length becomes an issue. I don't think that it's going to be too much of a liability where he's just not effective. He just has to figure out with his certain skill set how to get around it, right? It's just like fighting, right? If you're fighting somebody with reach, you have to either get around or get under, right? You can't go straight, or you know what I mean? There's certain ways to do it. It's the same concept, same aspect, right? So he's gonna have to figure that out. Like I said, he needs a deeper bag when it comes to pass rushing tools, but it's not that big of a deal. All right, so this next play, this is a run play. You can see Crawford at the bottom of the screen. So the offense is trying to run a zone, sort of like a wide zone, right, where they're just blocking down laterally, down the line of scrimmage laterally. Of course, Crawford has to keep outside containment because he's the edge, which he does do a good job, right? Able to move laterally, maintains outside leverage, but you can see that the arm length it's an issue, right? It became a problem before the play before. It's sort of a problem now. He has to be able to figure out what works for him. Now, I don't mind what he's doing because sometimes it does work, right? He has the physicality, but just because it works sometimes, it doesn't mean that it's not going to be a liability in some situations like this one, right? Now, the arm length becomes an issue at first, but you can see he's kind of trying to gain better positioning, right? The momentum of the offensive tackle ends up catching him off balance, and Crawford gets the upper hand, right? Ends up coming away with the play. But this is just another example of the liability with his arm length, but with the run play, right? That's basically what this is. Um, but there's no doubt in my mind he can figure out what works for him and find ways to work around it. All right, so we got another run play right here. As you can see, Crawford's on the bottom of the screen. He's lined up against the left tackle for Missouri. Now, in case you don't know, the left tackle for Missouri is Keyron Green. He's originally supposed to be an offensive guard, but like any other great player, wherever your team needs you, that's where you're going to go. Anyways, Crawford's lining up against him, right? Like I said, it's a run play. Now, on this play, Crawford is able to get a long arm. Off the rip, he attacks the weak side shoulder, which is the inside shoulder of Keyron Green. Able to get the long arm extended, which gives him leverage. That gives him the ability to maintain his positioning, right, with leverage. He got the outside hand attached to the outside shoulder. Now, you can see when the running back hits to the outside, he's able to use Green's momentum against him and throw him to the side and make a play. This is what I'm talking about with hand usage, right? Hand usage isn't just, swiping and things like that, right? It's the physicality of which you use your hands, right? And he's very physical at the point of contact, as you can see in this play. Now, I'm not going to let the last play get to me. There's a lot of run plays where you can see the physicality and, well, his hand usage, just his overall game becomes an asset, right? Opposite Max Crosby for, I can't even count how many years. The run game has been the weakest opposite Max Crosby. Yeah, we got Kwity Paye. Okay, that's cool. But Keyron Crawford adds a certain element, or he just boosts the run game, right? So, I mean, it's a no-brainer. He's an asset in the run game, so I'm gonna give him a mark for that, right? And there's a lot of plays, right? Like this next one, he's going against Monroe Freeland, right? Drafted in the first round. The hand usage ain't an issue. That's not what this was about. He just ends up slipping real quick, right off the jump. I think Monroe Freeland thought that he was going to get off and try to make contact, because that's usually what you do from a 4-point stance, right? You don't really, you could probably step to the side, but straight off the rip to like slip from a 4-point stance, I don't really see that a lot. And I don't think Monroe Freeland was expecting that. And that's why you just see him kind of like fall forward. But that was a great run play I seen. This other play right here is a great run play I seen. Like, Crawford is an asset in the run game. There's no question about it. All right, so this next video, this is going to be the last play that I show. In this video, the Auburn Tigers are in a 3-4 defense, right? 3D linemen, 4 linebackers. It does look like all 4 linebackers are off the ball, which it really doesn't matter because all 4 linebackers drop back into coverage. That does include Keyron Crawford. Now, as you can see right here, Crawford comes away with the interception, right? Great play, right? Very simple coverage. The quarterback ends up just, I don't know, dumping it off, whatever. He intercepts the ball. But the interception isn't really why I'm showing this play, right? The reason why I'm showing this play is because for the longest, since the offseason started, right, I've been asking myself, who's going to be the one to drop back in coverage if Rob Leonard requires an edge rusher to drop back, right? Max has done it a few times. I wouldn't want him to do it a lot, right? I wouldn't want Malcolm Koonce to do it at all, nor Kwity Paye. So who else does that leave, right? Kwity Paye. Now, when I seen this play, I went to go look up how many times he actually dropped back into coverage. And it was surprising to see that Keyron Crawford dropped back about 126 times in 2025 alone, right? Out of 616 defensive snaps, he dropped back into coverage 126 times, right? That's 20% of the time he's on the field, he dropped back into coverage. That's 1/5. One play out of every 5 plays, he's dropping back into coverage. That's crazy, right? That adds value, right? So that's the main reason why. Now, I believe His stats in coverage was 1 interception, 2 pass breakups, no touchdowns given up, and no receptions over 17 yards. That's supposed to be his official stats in coverage, and it's not too bad, right? So of course he's an asset in the coverage game when it comes to the edge rusher, right? Well, I just wanted to highlight that before we get to the end of this video. I like the pickup. I remember watching him against Baylor earlier in the season when I went to go watch Keldrick Falk. He pops out, right? Great in the run game, great pass rusher, physical, athletic, right? High motor. Now, the question of the video was, can Keyron Crawford be an asset to the Raiders? Right now, let's just go over this. I gave him points to be an asset as a run defender, a pass rusher. His hand usage can be an asset to the Raiders. His coverage skills can be an asset to the Raiders. Age/depth is also an asset to the Raiders. Now, the only liability that I've seen with him to the Raiders is his arm length. Not a big deal. As of right now, it's 5 marks to asset, 1 mark to liability. It's pretty obvious. Keyron Crawford is an asset to the Las Vegas Raiders, man, and I'm excited for this season. I hope you were able to enjoy this video. If you are not yet subscribed, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I hope you were able to gain some perspective in some way, shape, or form. My name is Steady, and I'll holler at y'all on the next one.